Whenever you're ready, sir, you may begin.
Imagine if a couple had a terminally ill child, and the child wanted to take his own life immediately to get out of it by means of assisted suicide. How do you think that couple would feel? Assisted suicide is a selfish act to get away from whatever problems you face in real life. And I believe assisted suicide is bad because it's not only affecting yourself, but it affects your family and friends. People only want assisted suicide to get away from whatever problems that they face in their own life. And assisted suicide is putting a huge burden on doctors that they do not deserve. So to give a little bit of a background, assisted suicide started in the 17th century. It was first referred to as assisted suicide by a man named Francis Bacon. And he used the term to refer to an easy, painless, happy death. So assisted suicide could affect your family and friends as well as yourself. So if you are a terminally ill patient and you only have, say, a month to live, every moment counts with your family. And if you go the route of assisted suicide, you are completely disregarding their feelings. If you do assisted suicide, you are completely leaving out the feelings of your family and friends. So if you don't want to go through the pain of whatever you're going through for yourself, you should at least consider the feelings of your family and friends. Victoria Reggie Kennedy, who is a writer for the Newsweek article, stated, "Most people wish for a good death, surrounded by loved ones, but instead you get a prescription for up to 100 capsules dispensed by a pharmacist, taken without medical supervision, followed by death, perhaps alone." Assisted suicide is a selfish act that people use to get away from whatever problems they're facing in real life, which people have wanted to do assisted suicide for more than just terminal illness. For those of you who had Pastor Lang's apologetics class last year, we saw a video on a girl who wanted to do assisted suicide because she had crippling depression. And she, in her last 2 weeks, she decided that she wanted to live. Because in her last 2 weeks, she realized that she was not only affecting herself, but she was also affecting the people around her. When you're facing problems in real life, you should put your trust in God. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 29, verse 11 states, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future," which means that God has a plan for you, and He knows what He wants to do with you. And you should, if you're facing a problem in real life, you need to put your trust in Him, and you need to trust that He has a plan for you, and not just try to get out of whatever you're going through by means of assisted suicide. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you are not a believer, you should put your trust in your friends and your family, because your friends and your family are the people who have been there throughout most of your life. And if you don't want to go through the pain for yourself of whatever you're going through, you should at least try and push through it for them. And most of the time, like the girl that I used previously, most of the time for reasons that people want to go through assisted suicide, those reasons are mostly treatable. There are people who want to commit assisted suicide for depression, and there are people who have tried to commit assisted suicide for things such as alcoholism. And Burt J. Balch and Randall K. O'Bannon, who wrote the article, Why Assisted Suicide Shouldn't Be Legal, states, "The emotional and cognitive patterns of thought and emotion which cloud the suicide attempter's judgment and lead to feelings of utter despair and hopelessness with proper psychiatric care, can be channeled in more rational and positive ways. To translate that to English, what he's saying is, if the suicide attempter gets the right kind of help, they can treat whatever problem it is they're going through by means of other than assisted suicide. Assisted suicide is a selfish act that puts a burden on doctors. Doctors, when they take on the role of a doctor, they are given the task of saving lives, not taking them away. You are putting the burden of them being involved in the actual killing of a person into their role. And the Christian Medical and Dental Association article put this perfectly. The most fundamental part of a doctor-patient relationship is trust. If the doctor prescribed suicide is illegal, then the patient won't know what the doctor's ultimate motive was, if it was to put him through assisted suicide or not. The doctor is given the role of saving the patient's life, not killing him. So in conclusion, assisted suicide is a selfish act that must be stopped, and I encourage everyone in this room to stand against it by speaking out, and maybe we can make a difference in society. That concludes this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Give me a round of applause. Okay, thank you, Robert. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
Are we doing questions now? Or
Yeah, we've got time.
Okay.
We'll go ahead and do our questions now. So if you have questions, folks, go ahead and...
What if you are living in a state of constant, eternal pain?
What do you mean?
Like, if you have, like, a disease that's just, like,
Crippling.
if you're in constant pain and agony, do you think your family and friends would understand if you might want to commit assisted suicide?
Well, okay, so I believe if you're a Christian, you need to put your faith in God, that He will take care of you through your times of pain. But if that person is not a believer, then I do think that they should try and push through it without requesting for assisted suicide.
If it's like a terminal thing.
Then I think that they need to take the feelings of their loved ones into consideration and try and push through, because they only have so much time left, especially if they're terminally ill. So I think that they should take the feelings of their loved ones into consideration and spend every moment that they have left with their loved ones.
Do you think it's still selfish if the person does not have anyone? Like for example, if they're like 80 and they don't have anyone to take care of, no friends or anything, do you think it's still selfish?
I don't think that there isn't anyone that doesn't have someone that they care about. Like, I don't think there's any person that just absolutely doesn't care about anybody.
Yeah, but what if that was the case though?
I mean, if that were the case, then I still don't know why you would want to end your life early. Wouldn't you want to, spend every moment wouldn't you want to make the most of every moment that you have left alive?
Yeah.
Maddie.
Is there like age restrictions? Like I know like 18 you're like,
Okay.
but like if you're a
Yeah,
minor.
okay. What I believe that especially people such as children, that they should not have their own right to commit assisted suicide. That should lie within the parents, because a child may have distorted judgment. I also believe the same thing for people with mental disorders, because their judgment might be clouded and they may react too harshly to certain situations. Jonathan.
So, what is your opinion on, say, a very elderly person who's at the very end of their life, who is only being kept alive by machines, and turning off those machines?
Okay, so you're saying like a person who's on life support,
Mhm.
and like they say unplug it because they just don't want to be alive anymore? Wait, is that what you're saying?
I suppose.
Okay, well, if they're at the very end of their, if they're like, so we're talking like an 80-year-old person,
Yeah.
like at the end of their life. I mean, I get, but if they have loved ones, then they should want to spend, they should want to make the most of every moment that they have left with their loved ones. Because as I said before, I don't think there's anyone in the world who doesn't have someone that they care about in their life. Questions over here, Jared?
Would you personally say that there are, like, are there any positives to assisted suicide, would you say?
Positives to assisted suicide? I don't think so. Do you have any
I
positives?
just didn't know if you
Okay.
came about any of your research.
Okay.
How long does it take for the prescription to kill you once you start taking it?
I'm sorry?
How long does it take for the prescription to kill you once you start taking it?
You get about 100 capsules, so I think it may vary from patient to patient.
All right, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you. All right.